You know, that's the 20th is the last day. I want to make them stay here to the very end. You already ate from them?
Yeah.
Well, I'm just wondering, I mean, usually we try to work on one side, but maybe try to work the real building. I don't want to spend all that money.
Yeah.
We want to spend way too much money on taking out back of it. Wish I could, if they're interested in something like this. But I don't want to show them something. It is doing something. And we gotta be careful.
Yep. Have to get Scott.
He's already made contact with the facility. So, we're gonna send him a letter, thanks for the contact, and we help market the place. And he already got a verbal yes. Memorial. They don't have a real estate person. It's not being active. So, let's bring it up.
Well, that's good news.
Cecil, good restaurant.
How are you, sir?
Enjoyed it. We've got half an hour.
Todd.
I'll take it. That's true.
Hey, Bob. Whoa. This is Allen Magazine. This is what he does.
Ready?
I keep doing it on purpose.
It ain't your best. Then in your life, I have something.
Yes. Call the meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for invocation. Pastor David Felton of the Fountains United Methodist Church.
Let's pray. We gather tonight in the midst of overbusy lives with the opportunity to weave together a community of people with different backgrounds, values, and priorities. In our weaving, we see clear patterns emerging, patterns of peace, trust, and grace between friends and the estranged. May our leaders here tonight be guided by a commitment to fairness and compassion, dedicated to the common good and a spirit of goodwill with all people, especially those in our community who are caught up in difficult life circumstances. We especially remember tonight the family of Phoenix detective John Hobbs, who died earlier this week, for all those who support that family, and for the family of the perpetrator as well. We give thanks for opportunities to be in service and are grateful for those here tonight serving as leaders of our town. May grace, peace, and vision of a better world be our companions on the journey. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor. Roll call, please, Beth.
Mayor Kavanaugh,
Here.
Councilmember Dickey, Councilmember Brown, Councilmember Yates,
Present.
Vice Mayor Hanson, Councilmember Elke, and Councilmember Leger.
Here.
All right, I'll start off with my report related to economic development. I will report on the Maricopa Association of Government meetings that I went to this month. The highlight of the agenda was a presentation by their Human Services Manager and Connect 6 Plus that deals with transportation for seniors and for those who are disabled. Their focus right now is on the west side because of the heavy senior population in Sun City and Youngtown. But I spoke at the meeting about the situation here in Fountain Hills and our need for transportation for our seniors. Sometimes they think of the East Valley in terms of Scottsdale, where they have great transportation options, and lump us together with them. I constantly remind them that we have no connectivity to the Scottsdale or Mesa systems. Fortunately, the presenting group offered to help us, and our staff is now in contact with them. Thank you. Now, recognition of Fountain Hills resident Peter Volney for his efforts in coordinating the inaugural Concourse in the Hills on February 15th, 2014. Peter, there you are. Okay. In November 2012, Fountain Hills resident Peter Volney contacted me about the possibility of holding a car show in Fountain Park. Peter's idea was twofold: to showcase not only some very nice cars, but to also showcase Fountain Hills to the valley. After a few delays, Peter enlisted some fellow car enthusiasts and got the ball rolling last summer. To help bring attention to the event, Peter expanded it to be a fundraiser for the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Scottsdale, which includes our local McKee branch. On Saturday, February 15th, after a lot of hard work by Peter, his friends, and the Boys and Girls Club, his idea came to fruition with the inaugural Concourse in the Hills, held on the turf at Fountain Park. Nearly 210 cars, ranging from ultra-high performance cars to classic muscle cars, took part in the event. The amazing cars, beautiful weather, and the park background for the event proved to be a success, with hundreds of people coming out. In addition to all the activity at the park, nearby businesses and restaurants were at capacity for most of the day. Thanks to everyone involved, over $25,000 was raised for the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Scottsdale. In the week following the event, many car owners and sponsors enthusiastically committed to returning for the next event in February 2015. On behalf of the town of Fountain Hills, I would like to recognize Peter Volney for his efforts in bringing this new event to town. Thank you, Peter. And where are we now? And now we have recognition of Planning and Zoning Commissioner Richard Turner for his services to the town of Fountain Hills. Richard is not here today, but I would like to read an appreciation for him. Richard Turner served as the Planning and Zoning Commissioner from October 1st, 2010 until February 20th, 2014. Mr. Turner was a valuable member of the commission who brought his knowledge as a previously employed Town of Fountain Hills Director in the Planning and Zoning Department. Mr. Turner was a very capable decision maker at every commission meeting. Thank you, Mr. Turner, for all your contributions while serving on the Planning and Zoning Commission. And we can give Richard a nice hand first. Okay, thank you. We have any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay. We have 4 items on our consent agenda. Can I have a motion to approve as listed?
Mayor, so moved.
And you have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Dickey? Aye. Councilmember Elke?
Aye.
Councilmember Leger? Vice Mayor Henson? Aye. Councilmember Yates?
Aye.
Councilmember Brown?
Aye.
And Mayor Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Mayor 7-0.
First on our regular agenda items is consideration of approving a special event liquor license application submitted by Val Stasek, representing the Fountain Hills Theater, for the purpose of a fundraiser scheduled for March 29, 2014, from 5 to 11 p.m. at the Community Center. Is any council discussion on this?
Mr. Mayor, members, Madam Mayor Kavanaugh, members of the council. It's a staff recommendation to approve the liquor license for the event for the Fountain Hills Theater for the at the Community Center on March 29th, 5 to 11.
Thank you. Any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
All right, can I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Mayor 6-0.
And number 6, consideration of accepting 3 donated sculptures titled Fred and Ginger, Tin Man, and Man in the Moon, as requested by the Fountain Hills Public Art Committee. Mark.
Bear with me just one moment. Oh, I'm sorry, here it is. Mayor Kavanaugh, members of the council. As you mentioned before, this evening for your consideration are 3 pieces of public art. The first piece, titled Fred and Ginger, depicts the famous dancing couple of Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. It is being donated by local residents Betty and Walter Martin. The piece is valued at $36,000, and it's anticipated that the piece would be located adjacent to the amphitheater, where we've located several other pieces. The second piece under consideration this evening is called the Tin Man, and it's being donated by Jackie and Jerry Miles. It has a value of $6,500, and the anticipated placement would be in the Centennial Circle. Whoops.
We got pictures there somewhere.
It's not cooperating with me this evening.
All right, call for Bev.
There comes the gal.
Thanks.
Let's see, which one do you want?
I'll start with that one first.
I'm not going to be able to see it.
Okay, the piece in front of you is the depiction of Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. The second piece, as I mentioned, is the Tin Man. There's the location depicted on this particular map. Adjacent to the amphitheater, as I mentioned. I'm sorry, it's not responding. Won't scroll down. Okay. There's the depiction of that particular piece, as I mentioned. And the final one is Man in the Moon. And it would be on loan for a period of up to a year during the fundraising campaign. It is valued at $5,900, and placement would be in the Centennial Circle. There's the two sites for both the Tin Man and the Centennial Circle. Mr. Miles is here this evening and wants to address the council for a few minutes. With that, I will turn it over to Mr. Miles.
Your Public Art Committee started putting this collection together in 2001, and it's grown to about 130 pieces now. And these 3 pieces are just a start. We don't expect that the Man in the Moon will take a year to raise the money. We'll be putting in the mail tomorrow an invitation to a fundraising party, and each one of you will be on there, and I hope you'll attend, including you, Mr. Buchanan, because it'd be interesting to see how we do raise money on the private side. Sometimes it's a little easier than the public side. But in any case, we're proud of our collection. We're proud of the fact that you have given us support, and we'll continue to look for support really just as long as we're able to keep going. We've got about 35 pieces in our wish book, and every time we turn around, somebody says, hey, I want to be part of that collection. So in anticipation of a yes vote, let me give you our thanks.
Thank you, Mayor Miles, and thank you for, once again, donating a piece. You've donated quite a few to the collection. Is Walter and Betty Martin here? They are not.
Unfortunately, it looks like he's detained. He said he would be here, but things do come out. He's an elderly gentleman, so it looks like he's not going to be able to make it.
Okay.
Anyway, it's our pleasure to do that. It's more fun for us to put it in the public site rather than put it in the backyard. Several reasons. First of all, we don't have
Do
to
you
worry
want
about our...
to use the mic so everybody can hear you?
First of all, if we put it in the public site, we don't have to worry about our kids having to dispose of it after we're gone. Second, if it's in our backyard, nobody sees us except the ones who come to a party. And of course, there's always the credit for a charitable donation. But it's finally the most important thing is just it's very gratifying to be part of the continuing growth of our public art collection, and we're very proud of that.
Well, we certainly have an outstanding collection, thanks to you who started this from the very beginning with the first piece that you donated, Joy of Music. And does anyone have any questions for either Mayor Miles or for Sandy Thompson, who is the president of the HCCA?
Mayor, I do have a question for Mr. Miles. Mr. Miles, you don't have to get up again. Looking at this Tin Man, I know how you think in terms of art. Is this going to start the trend for like a whole Wizard of Oz scene out there someplace?
Well, my wife is going to have to find the rest of the pieces.
All righty, it's a deal. Thank you.
That sounds like a challenge. Okay, anyone else? Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I want to thank Mayor Miles, you and Jackie. Thank you again for your contribution and your many contributions, obviously, to the town that go well beyond the public art, and also to Betty and Walter Martin for their contribution. I do have one question just for Mark, if I could. Mark, can you just explain, if asked, and this does come up from time to time, what's the process by which that you go to determine where you're going to place a piece of art once it's been donated?
We really kind of look at a number of factors, Councilman Tate, Elke. We look at the overall maps that we have in place, but what we've realized over the years is it really depends on the piece itself. One of the recent examples I can think of is Second Story View, which is the giraffe-like figure. We did not have that listed as one of the places for potential art, but there was a desire on the part of the artist to place it somewhere where it looked as if the animal was feeding on a tree. That was probably the best example I can think of where we really were struggling. Same thing with the blue heron piece. You know, as many times as we were looking at different potential locations, and ultimately I think ended up with the best one. So we try to follow the maps that have previously been drawn up that show the potential locations for art, but it doesn't always work. And so that's why when I come to these meetings, I typically ask not only for approval of the piece itself, but also the site, because I recognize it doesn't always follow the pattern. Certainly.
Any other questions? If not, any speaker cards? Speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
No. Would you like
Madam
to
Mayor?
make a motion?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I motion to accept the donated bronze art sculpture titled Fred and Ginger for placement in Fountain Park, and the Tin Man and Man in the Moon sculptures to be placement in the Centennial Circle.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Mayor, 7-0.
Thank you.
Consideration of professional services agreement, C2014-14, with Kimley Horn and Associates Incorporated for the Saguaro Boulevard Reconstruction Project in the amount of $426,659. Ken?
Mayor Kavanaugh, members of the council, again, the Development Services Director has a report on the bid process, or the RFQ process, excuse me, not bid, RFQ process for engineer for the design of the Saguaro Boulevard Reconstruction Project.
Thank you, Mayor Kavanaugh, members of the council. In November 2013, voters approved the Saguaro reconstruction bond for $8.2 million. That includes design, construction, and construction management. Immediately after that was approved, we issued a request for qualifications. We followed the Arizona Revised Statutes Title 34 process, which says you need to select professional services based off of qualifications only. So we issued the request for qualifications. We had 10 engineering firms submit their statement of qualifications. We had a panel of 4 staff members review, score. We had a scoring criteria, score those, and rank those. Kimley Horn and Associates was the top-ranked firm, so we entered into negotiations with Kimley Horn based on the scope of the project. It also includes the replacement of the traffic signal at Palisades and Saguaro as well. So they gave us a proposal. We reviewed the scope, we reviewed their man hours, their hourly billing rates, we negotiated with them a little back and forth. We came down approximately 10% to get to the $426,000 number. And they are ready to start on Monday. They'll be out there surveying. So with that, staff does recommend approval, and we'll be happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Paul? Okay, Councilman Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. Paul, I have several questions, and you probably have the answers. It's a scheduling process. I see they are going to be done with 100% of the construction documents on August 28th of 2014. How quickly will you put this out on the streets to bid?
Correct. Mayor Kavanaugh, Councilmember Brown, as we had a previous meeting to talk about the schedule, barring no issues with any utility companies, that's the schedule. Now we have to follow the public bid process, and that's, we usually give the companies at least 4 to 6 weeks to we advertise that for 4 to 6 weeks for a bid. We need to get the bids in. We need to tally all the numbers, check references, check the math on the bids, and then we need to bring it back to a council meeting for approval. It's typically a minimum of a 2-month process to publicly bid a project and get it back before council for approval. That's why when we met previously, we said roughly the end of 2014 is when we could have a construction contract approved and be out there.
So that puts us into late October, early November for possibly awarding the project to somebody, to another contractor. And then how many working days will it take before you will actually have a contract where we can put them to work? Is it another 2 months? Or?
Our standard contracts say a minimum of, I think a maximum of 45 days, but it's typically 2 to 3 weeks. They need to go get their permits from the county, county dust control permits, stormwater pollution prevention plan permits. So you're probably on a big road project, 3 to 4 weeks after council approval, you'd probably see them out there actually doing work.
So shortly after the first of the year, 2015, we will probably see true activity on Saguaro.
Correct.
And then the last question I have, just one more question. Do you think that the gasoline spill cleanup will delay this process?
No, we actually have it built in that they're going to be out there surveying. They're going to use a 3D scanning technology mounted on a Suburban, and they have plans to come back after the road is put back from the spill, the bike lane.
Do you think they'll have it? Do you think that the spill will be completely cleaned up by the first of 15?
I sure hope so. Yes,
Yeah.
they're gonna be out there putting the starting on the bike lane tomorrow.
And this truly is coming to an end then, the spill cleanup.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you, Paul.
Okay, Councilman Yates?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Paul, excellent job. Kimley Horn, excellent firm. In the overall scope, or where are we within budget with where their bid came in?
The negotiated price for the professional services is within the budget for design. It's approximately 5 to 6% of the overall construction cost, which is pretty industry standard for a project of this size.
And the overall project price is right around $9 million?
8.6. Over its construction price. So the construction's about estimated at about $7.25 million.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, Mayor Kavanaugh, members of the council. Also remember, we said 8.6, that was a $400,000 CIP project to change out the signal at Palisades and Saguaro in that. The bond was 8.2 and added 400,000 of CIP to the total project.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Elke?
Paul, just a couple of questions. Is there any, I know Councilmember Brown was asking you questions about the spill that's out there. Is there any concern about once the asphalt is brought up that there may be hazard, there may be gas or saturated soil that may delay this process?
Correct, Mayor Kavanaugh, Councilmember Elke. As of right now, all the confirmation sampling has shown the cleanup as being complete. We really don't have any more contamination. The United Petroleum Transports is entering into a voluntary program with ADEQ for the cleanup, and I know the town manager and town attorney has talked to them about tail insurance coverage in the event that we do find something. But that would cover us financially, but if we do find something, then yeah, it would take some extra time.
Right, and I think, and this is more for legal than anything else, but it certainly have some concerns that if there are delays as a result of any fuel that's found
Correct.
down there, that there's delays that cause this project to cost more money.
I'm sure the contractor will track those charges.
Right, make sure that we're reimbursed for those fees, and I know legal's still working on that. And lastly, Paul, I appreciate you negotiating a 10% reduction. It would be a wonderful thing if we can come in and have this project done below the amount and not have to use that full $8.2 million. So, thank you.
Paul, I just have a question. If they are going into this agreement with ADEQ, does that, what happens, I don't know, 10 years from now if something is found? Do they still have to monitor? Are they still responsible for the future?
I would have to defer to the town attorney.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, the ADEQ voluntary compliance process is not necessarily a get-out-of-jail-free card. It's kind of a best practices approach, and it's voluntary for them to participate. So we're treating it as a very good step in the right direction, but not as in any way waiving their obligation to future cleanup efforts if they're necessary, particularly with Saguaro Construction is one of the main ones. But if something comes up further on down the future, we haven't negotiated the length of the tail, so that's still yet to be decided, and we don't know how long that coverage will go out there.
All right, thank you. Anything else?
Mayor, if I may.
Yes?
Paul, just a quick question for you. Are there any representatives here this evening from Kimberly Horn?
Yes, we have Chris Woolery and Robert Lyons
Okay.
from Kimberly Horn.
Just thought it would be nice to see you guys, seeing we're going to be partnering with you and spending a few dollars on your firm. So thanks for being here. Thanks, Paul.
Anything else? Do we have any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
No, we don't. Any other council discussion? If not, can I get a motion?
Mayor,
Yes.
move to approve professional services agreement C 2014-141 with Kimley Horn and Associates, Inc. for the Saguaro Boulevard reconstruction project in the amount of $426,659.00.
Mayor, second.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Mayor, 7-0.
Now we'll get into the legislative section, discussion with possible direction to staff relating to any item included in the League of Arizona Cities and Towns Weekly Legislative Bulletin. Okay, and I guess Ken, did you want to
Mayor
start?
Kavanaugh, I'll be happy to respond to any of the packet that I gave you and the status that we've done since the last council meeting.
Okay. What I would report on is that the HERF that we were all interested in has passed through the COW, and we are now working with the league to make sure that in the end, that comes out in the budget in our favor. Any other bills that we considered in the past that anybody wants to discuss?
Mayor, yes, thank you. I have two that are in here that they're kind of like deja vu for me, so I'd like to just very briefly address them. And the two I picked do have a direct impact on the municipality. So if I may address the town attorney. HB 2339, which is called Guns in Public Building. Andrew, could you just let me know where that's at in the process and what that bill is asking us to do?
Madam Mayor, Councilmember Leger, it appears that bill is another attempt that was previously attempted to require anyone who wants to exclude firearms from a building like the town hall to have to actually have armed security and metal detectors in order to be able to enforce that. I can't tell you if it's exactly like the prior bills, but it sure looks like it.
So, Mayor, if I may, it kind of sounds like a discussion we've had in the past where some legislation like this was on the table where we came to the conclusion that would be pretty costly to the town of Fountain Hills, the armed guard, security, X-ray machines, whatever the case is. And as a result of that, we did acknowledge the legislation and put lockers outside. So it seems to me kind of like a backdoor approach. We put lockers outside, now we're going to have to spend money on security. So I just really am in opposition of this particular bill, and I really move for this body to oppose this bill.
Does everyone have all the information on this? Is everyone aware of? I don't really have the language on that one here.
Mayor,
Yes.
did you just move for that? I didn't hear what you said. Did you make a motion?
I did, yes.
Second.
Mayor, if I may.
Is that 20, did you say 2517?
It's 2339.
Firearms.
It's referred to as guns in public buildings.
Do you have it? It's in that one. Oh. the
If you
older
go-
one. It's a couple of weeks ago. Is there any discussion on this?
Mayor, if I may. With respect to how the town, that we contract with MCSO, I think that would be an additional cost that would probably be part of that contract if this bill passed and we had to install security. And I think it would also restrict access to town hall, as well as we probably have to either have 2 security officers, 1 at each entrance on each side, or we'd have to close one down and require everybody to come into one side, just from a cost standpoint. Now, as a lawyer, I go into courts all the time and have to go through security, and employing somebody like that, I think would be costly. I think this is an issue that we as a town should be able to make the decision on, and I don't think that we've had any issues that have been raised in the fact that we have law enforcement in the building that can respond if there is any emergency that arises. I think that this would be a costly endeavor for us to have to go through if this bill were to pass and we were to have metal detectors or have a security person standing outside and wanding people as they came into the building, or taking off their belts or going through their bags to make sure that they don't have any firearms. Certainly don't want to wait for something to happen negatively, but I think the fact that something hasn't happened suggests that this is not a need as far as our town is concerned, and I would be in opposition to this as well.
So do we know what the status of the bill is in the legislature right now? Because it might not have even gotten out of a committee.
Mayor?
It's on the Judiciary Committee.
It's waiting to go to rules, I believe.
It's waiting to go to rules?
Well, it was as of this.
As of the last update, it had not been heard in rules.
It had not been heard in rules? Is it going to rules? Because that could just kill it if it doesn't go.
It hadn't had any action on it for a while this month, so it's one of those things that I think is, as every piece of legislation, it may not have been preserved in its current form, but could show up somewhere else. The number of vehicle bills still floating around is pretty high.
Okay.
And Mayor, the league, according to this, the league opposes it as a matter of local control and fiscal impact.
All right. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All right. And then all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Mayor, 7-0.
Okay. Does anyone have any other bills?
Yes, Mayor, I mentioned that I had a second one, and I'll be quick on this one here. This one is Senate Bill 1158, and it has to do with fireworks. And once again, deja vu. We've been here before, and Andrew, do you know the status of this bill in terms of has it been heard, where it's been heard, where it's at? Is it worth us chiming in on this one?
Madam Mayor, Councilmember Leger, just for a little bit of update, this bill is actually, under the current law, you're allowed to prohibit use of certain fireworks, consumer fireworks within your municipality, but you're not allowed to prohibit sales. Fountain Hills has chosen to prohibit use of. This one would take the route that many municipalities have taken in the state, maybe not many, at least the one I live in has, so that New Year's Eve is quite a loud event. There's an exemption to that provision for about a 14-day period around the 4th of July and around New Year's, where these consumer fireworks could be utilized in communities that have prohibited them other times. So it's a carve-out to mimic what some cities have done to force every city to do that same thing.
Thank you, Andrew. I think the majority of the council members here at one time had unanimously voted to develop our ordinance in such a way that, yes, fireworks could be sold, but they couldn't be used. As a matter of fact, on a very stringent recommendation from, at that time, Chief LaGreca and then Randy Roberts, they just thought this was just, dynamite. It wasn't very good for public safety. And to me, once again, this is a case of overreach. They're basically saying that the bill itself basically says, well, for 2 weeks prior to New Year and 2 weeks prior to 4th of July, it's okay that you do that and you have no control over that. Well, during the summertime was Chief LaGreca's major concern if you were in terms of fire danger. So once again, I would motion that we oppose this bill utilizing terminology that Councilman Dickey used a few minutes ago. It's about control and overreach once again. Plus, we already have an ordinance. We just dealt with this. And to me, it's just backdoor policy. Thank you.
Okay. And just a question, Andrew, is there anything in that bill that, is it any kind of fireworks, or
It's consumer fireworks. There's a specific definition of what is a consumer firework, and it's, in my understanding of it, it's things that don't shoot up in the air. You can have small explosives, ground displays, any of those things are fine, but if you shoot it up in the air, it's typically not allowed.
If we pass something like that, and that the fact that we have no fireworks here in Fountain Hills, what if, I know there's a group that approached us that said they might want to do some fireworks 4th of July if they could raise the money from the business community. Would that exclude them from being allowed to do that, or could that we carve out an exception for a group? If
Madam Mayor, members of the council, a commercially licensed fireworks provider isn't covered by the town's ordinance. It's only the consumer fireworks.
Okay, great, thank you. Any other questions? All right, then all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Mayor, 7-0.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
Anyone else?
Real quick, Mayor, thanks. Andrew, on the call, the mayor asked about 2378, and the league said they were going to have their legal people relook at it or re-examine it. That was the fee bill that is so confusing. And then the other bill is about 1227, which is counties, municipalities, energy efficient codes, saying that we cannot change our energy efficient codes, which we had already gone through and are looking at them, and it would freeze the way we have them now. So the league is opposed to that also, and it was amended on the 3rd. But I think that just it has something to do with outdoor lighting or something. So it still is something that the league is opposed to, preempts local adoption of any new building code that prescribes energy efficiency standards and freezes them definitely. So to me, that basically any new technology or something that comes on, good, bad, or indifferent, it will not allow any cities to adopt a new energy code. So I'm certainly not in favor of that, and the league is very opposed, and this one does seem to be moving. So if you have any questions, I would like to have us oppose 1227. And Andrew, you probably know more about this because they try it every year.
Andrew, do you have anything on?
I honestly don't really have much more on 1227 than that. It is a complete preemption. It's drafted so broadly that I don't even think you would be able to have minimum insulation standards in your homes. I think it doesn't just reach the energy efficiency codes, it's energy efficiency provision in any other code. And this is a reaction to energy efficiency provisions that used to be only in the international building codes and then were pulled out into their own code in this last iteration. That separate document was the target, but the language isn't very precise in its target. To use the military's term, this would be a dumb bomb rather than a smart bomb. It hits everything rather than just the precise stated target. So it is a definite issue of local control, and I think the league's trying their best.
Yeah.
Not quite sure where the lighting was carved out, but that was
It sounds like the exact same one from last session, just kind of reworded. That, I think we opposed that too, and we opposed it at the League of Cities also. Okay. So I have a motion. Did I get a second on that?
I don't think you've had a motion.
I'll make a motion that.
Oh, I thought you made, I
sorry.
thought that sounded like a motion.
I was giving everybody an out.
Okay.
I move that the council joins the league in opposing Senate Bill 1227 regarding energy efficient codes.
Second.
All right. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I don't have any that I want to actually get a motion on. I just wanted to inform everyone that the manufacturing tax exempt one that we were concerned about, that it was going to exempt all manufacturing, which really didn't have much of a definition. It was so broad that the league is working with them, and they see that there's going to be some changes. It looks like it's going to be voluntary now if a city or town wants to participate, and they are going to be narrowing the definition of what is manufacturing so that if someone's just doing something in their garage, that's not going to be covered. So the league is working on that, and I think that's good enough that we let them do that. And the 2587, the animal cruelty bill is currently being held in the House. So we don't know what's going to happen with that, but it looks like maybe at this point it doesn't have enough votes. Sheriff Arpaio is still opposed to that, as is most of the police departments and Humane Society. Okay, that's it for me as far as that. Anyone else have any other legislative bills? If not, we will go on to council discussion, direction to the manager. Ken, do you have anything?
Nothing, Mayor.
Nothing. Okay, now we have the section that we added recently. If anyone would like to say about recent activities that they've done, or want to pretty much open, if you want to say anything else. I know I have some things, but I'll let everybody go first. Okay, go ahead. Councilman Elke.
Thank you. Well, I think just an announcement. It's really important, obviously, that the town supports local businesses, and recently we've had 3 new businesses open here in town. We had Mojo's Pizza Place, of which the owner was here tonight regarding his liquor license, Laura's Place, and another place called Moxie's. And had a chance to visit all 3 of those, and certainly encourage people to go out and support local businesses like we do as Fountain Hills residents. So it's wonderful to see new businesses grow here in town, and it's always important for us to get out there and support them. So thank you.
Great. Did you want to say anything about Moxie's, Councilman Yates? Not that I want to put you on the spot, but
I don't want to sound self-serving, but please stop by Moxie on the corner of Parkview and Saguaro.
that's not self-serving. That's a good businessman. Okay, Councilwoman Dickey.
Thank you for that opportunity.
Mayor, I'd just like to invite people to attend a benefit fundraiser to support child victims of human trafficking and modern-day slavery. The Starbright Foundation had come and given a report you attended for the Public Safety Advisory Commission. It's going to be March 13th to the 16th, 10 a.m. to 5 daily at the Fountainside Arts Gallery. They're going to be raising funds for the safe houses. The Fountainside Arts has received donations of art and jewelry, crafts from artists throughout the Arizona, and 100% of the proceeds will go to the Starbright Foundation.
And I think the Starbright Foundation is also going to be involved with the Super Bowl next year. There's a lot of problems with that. Okay, anything else? Okay. You have something?
I
Go
do.
ahead. Go ahead.
It's very brief once again. We all received an email from Ken, I think, a couple weeks ago regarding the proposed Del Monte Del Lago Trail. Last night, the town had a community meeting. I had an opportunity to be there. There were over 180 residents that were directly affected by this proposal at the meeting. Mark Mayer did a very good job standing his ground, and the residents were extremely, for most part, it was good civil dialogue. And at the end, a gentleman asked for a show of hands, and I'd say, I took note of this, about 90% of those residents strongly opposed this particular proposal. So I just put that out there just for information purposes. I'm not quite sure what the next step in the process is, but at this particular point, there's really strong opposition in that neighborhood. Thank you, Mayor.
All right. I think we've all heard from some of those residents that live near there also. Okay, well, usually I do my activities in the beginning, but since we added this section on the end, I will do it at the end. Okay, so I didn't do this at the last meeting, so it's a little bit long, and I'll make it as short as I can. I wanted to tell you about my Mayor's Youth Council, that they took their second field trip. Remember, the first one was to the Capitol. The second one was to the home of resident Western artist, the Arizona kid, our own Carlos Hadaway. I also was a referee at the VEX Robotics Championship at the high school. Our Falcon team won first place. They went on to state, they won that, and now they're going on to World VEX. This is really something. Those are our future engineers. I spoke at the open house to the new fire station addition. We had 3 great days at the fair with our tourism table, and I want to thank Ken Buchanan, Brian Hughes, Heather Ware, and Grace Gooder, our intern, for all their work to make that happen. I also want to thank Grace and the 30 volunteers who joined me for the weekend to sit at the table and hand out information about our town. It was one of the best fair weekends. Estimated crowd for all 3 days was 276,000 people. Of course, I attended the Anti-Drug, Anti-Alcohol Coalition meeting at the school and continued to work with them. I was the speaker at the local realtors group, and I was very happy to present them with the state of the town. Also was the speaker that evening at the A-Dog Spaghetti Dinner held at the Presbyterian Church. I welcomed the St. Joseph the Worker Hike for the Homeless group at McDowell Mountain Park, and I was very impressed by the huge number of hikers that showed up in the pouring rain. That was the day it really rained hard, and they all showed up to hike. Finally, I also attended the Fountain Hills PTO Gala fundraiser, and I want to thank the main sponsor who generously made the event a big success, and that's the Vern C. Johnson Foundation, which is managed by our resident, Dwight Johnson. And also, big congratulations to the girls' basketball team for defeating Valley Christian at the Jobbing.com Arena. We all watched the game at the PTO Gala. The final score was 51-36. Go Falcons. Great win. Anyone have anything else? If not, get a motion to adjourn?
We need
So
a motion.
And-
We need a motion to go back into E-session.
Oh, we have to do that again? All right.
Mayor, I move to go back into E-session.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Reluctantly? Okay. Thank you all for coming.